Hello and welcome to another episode of Sandy Killer Projects. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on a 2017 Jeep Cherokee KL. This is a two-wheel drive vehicle. This is actually one of our commuter cars. This is a 6-cylinder, which is the 3.2 liter. The 3.2 liter is going to be a different oil change than the 2.4 liter. The 2.4 liter has a spin-on type oil filter, and the 6-cylinder has a cartridge type oil filter, and we'll explain the differences of each of them, and we'll show you the basics of how to do the oil change. So let's get started. So for the purposes of this video, I'm showing you where you would jack the car up. I like to go off of the bolt right there for the cross member to lift the car up, and then I like to put the jack stand underneath the A-arm knuckle. The reason why I do that in this case is because I don't need the car lifted high enough up to lift the tire off the ground. I just need enough space to get underneath it. And normally in this case I don't use a jack or a jack stand, because this car in particular has a 2-inch American Trail Products lift kit on it, so I can actually get underneath the car and put a drain pan underneath it without using any sort of lift or jack stands. So this is where it would go. I put the jack stand in that spot underneath the A-arm, and then once I'm done, I lower the car onto the jack stand, which it's currently on it. I usually then take the jack and just put it right next to it, so where it's not touching it. The jack will actually move around because it's not on it. It's resting on the jack stand. I just have this one as a secondary, as a just in case. So from here you should have enough room to get your drain pan in and to be able to get to the drain pan bolt. So from here we'll start draining the fluid out of it, and we'll show you where to open up the hood. So on the Jeep Cherokee, to get to your hood latch, you go from the driver's side down onto the left side knee bolster, and there's a lever down under here marked hood. Pull that back, and then come around to the front. Your hood will be partially popped up. There is a lever just below the bottom of the hood right here, and all you do is pull it back. It unlatches the hood, and the hood is on shock absorbers and will come up on its own. So from here we go underneath the car. Alright, so now we're underneath the front of the car. There is a skid plate underneath the engine compartment. This is made so you don't get rocks and debris up underneath your car, and on some cars a few years older you'd end up taking the skid plate off. In this case you don't. There are access covers to be able to get into your oil filters. One of them is right here towards the front. This one in particular is for the 2.4 liter. The oil filter would be up on the inside of this cover. This particular car is a 3.2. This cover stays in place. The cover behind it, this one right here, is for the 3.2 liter. You can take it off with a screwdriver. There's a slot right here that the screwdriver would go into, and it's a quarter turn. I have found though that it's actually easier to do it with a putty knife, because the screwdriver will actually end up making little dings in the screw, and as you can see from me using a screwdriver, and it's got a bunch of dings in it. So this, you turn a quarter of a turn and the access cover comes down. The access cover is made to stay there, but it's actually also set up so that it's easily taken off. You just push it to one side and then pull it over a little and wiggle the other hook out, and then you have the space to get your drain pan in and where you want it. So at that point you take your drain pan, slide it into position, then your drain plug screw is up inside, right, wow, it's hard to see because it is inside of this cover. It is right there, so I'm a little close, but that is it right there. This is the drain pad screw right there. So that is a 13 millimeter. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this, and I'm going to drop the oil down into my drain pan, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so now that the oil is draining out of the oil pan, we're going to move around to the top side and show you how to get to the oil filter and to remove it, and how to install the new one. Here we are at the top of the engine compartment. Normally, in most situations, your oil filter would have been down at the bottom, probably under the same cover that we've been in. And on the 2.4 liter, that other cover will give you access to the oil filter. In this case, the oil filter is actually underneath this cover. We're going to open this up. It's just a slight turn to the left and a lift off. And this guy right here is where your filter is. It's similar to that of like an old Saturn, the style of the filter. It's a cartridge type. We have to undo this bolt. Remove this cap. Inside of the cap there is a filter. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, and we'll show you what it looks like and how to put the new one back in. Okay, for the filter, it takes a 24 millimeter socket. You just put it on here and unscrew it. I've already unscrewed it most of the way. You need a bit of an extension on it as well to be able to get up and outside of the cover. Once it's loose enough, just unscrew it and lift it out. This is the filter. The cap goes back in place, so don't just think you can get rid of the cap. The actual filter is a CH11665. If you have the 2.4 liter, your filter is going to be on the bottom. It's not going to be in this space that we're looking at right here. That filter, I just happen to have one, is a PH10060. This filter I happen to have because it's also the same filter as on another vehicle that we have. So what you do to change the filter is you take a rag and you grab the filter and pop it out. It just clicks in to the little groove down here. Filter comes out and gets taken to your recycle center. The new filter comes out of the box and goes directly into the cap like the last one had and clicks in. Once you hear that snap, it is in. The kit also comes with an O-ring. O-ring is right here at the bottom. O-ring gets pulled out of the little groove here, and usually I have to get a screwdriver or something underneath it to pop it out. But I'll see if I can get this out by rolling it. There we go. So you just roll the old O-ring up until you get it all the way up out of the groove, and then it goes away with the filter, and the kit comes with a little bag with an O-ring. Fresh O-ring comes out of that and goes over the filter and back down into the groove all the way down at the bottom. Be careful when putting this on not to overstretch this or to roll this too much. If you get twists or stretches or bad spots into the ring will not seal. So try and keep it nice and flat. Get it all the way in. Make sure there's no debris. Don't take oil or anything and re-lubricate the seal. It doesn't require it. Just make sure that it's clean and free from any debris, and then you take the filter and put it back down into the hole and turn clockwise until it gets close to seating. Once it gets close, turn your wrench back to clockwise and crank it down until it stops. Don't crank and crank and crank. You'll break the plastic that is the cap off. You want it to go down enough to where it seats the O-ring, and you'll feel it get snug. Once you get to there, right there where it's snug, don't put any more pressure on it. Nothing on an oil change goes down super hard. Everything goes down just till it's snug. So once it's down and seated, that's all you need on the top end for right now till we put the drain plug back in. So let's take care of that. Okay, back underneath the front of the car. Once your oil pouring out of the bottom of it is gone to a trickle, take your drain plug bolt, place it back up into the hole, turn it clockwise to get it most of the way in. Once you get it basically hand tightened down, go ahead and push your drain pan out of the way, put your 13mm wrench back on it, and crank it down. You do want this to be tight. You don't want it to be super tight, and remember, don't make any jerking motions while tightening this up, because you have a car that is on jacks and jack stands. So just nice good pull until it goes tight, and then take your wrench off. Then your door piece goes back into the holes that are in the back. There are 2 holes right there that it slides into. Just push it in, then bring your door back up into the position and turn it a quarter turn the opposite direction of which you opened it. There are markings on the cover plate if you need to know which direction it's got to go to turn it to lock it and unlock it. So with that, we're done with the bottom part of the car. So let's go back up to the top. Okay, so basically in the same areas we were before, here's the cover where your filter's at. This is your oil filler. So you take this, unscrew it till it comes up loose and comes out. Put oil filler funnel down into the hole and then fill it. This particular car takes 5.7 quarts. I buy the 5-quart jugs of oil. This particular car takes 5 W20 weight. When I bought it, I was told that it was not synthetic blended, and I was also told that it was not full synthetic, so I use standard, regular old Castrol GTX on it. The one thing that you are going to notice is that I'm pouring 530 in it. This car is about 20 miles, 50 miles, something like that from crossing 100,000 miles. This car burns about a half a quart of oil per every 10,000 miles that we change the oil. We change the oil in this car at the recommended 10,000 miles or when the reset cycle tells you to do it. So I am increasing the oil weight because the car is getting to be high mileage. We commute quite a bit, so it's necessary for us to do that. So I am putting 1 complete jug into it, which is only going to give me 5 quarts. So I need another 3/4 of a quart. To get that other 3/4 of a quart, I have another jug that I'm going to have to put into it. So on the second jug, if you notice on the jugs themselves, there are numbers. One side is in quarts and one side is in liters. So I need 3/4 of a quart. The left side is the quart side. I'm going to fill it until I'm about to here. That will give me the other 3/4 of a quart that I need, and that'll be enough to fill it. So once I put that quart in, we need to run it, checks for leaks, and then I need to show how to reset the oil life light. So I'm going to finish this part of it up, and we'll move on to the oil life light. So before we move on to doing the oil life light, I'm going to go over a couple other little things. Take your jack stands out, lift your car back up, take your jack stand out, take your jack out. You want to take your jack out from underneath the car before you plan on starting, moving, or anything else with the car. It's just a safer bet. If you're done with the mechanical end, take all your jacks and jack stands out from underneath the car first. Once that's done, then start it and check the oil. Then we'll do the oil life light. The last things I want to go over inside of the engine compartment is start up the car, look all around the underside of the car under the engine compartment to make sure that you don't see any oil leaks. Also, because the filter is on the top, then you get a flashlight and check down and around this oil filter to make sure the oil seal isn't leaking. If that oil seal got pinched, it will allow oil to leak out of the side of that cap, and it'll run down onto the floor. The other thing that we need to do is check the oil. You don't do that with it running. So at this point, I'm going to shut the car off and let the oil settle for a minute, and then we'll check the oil. Okay, now that we let the car warm up to temperature, we're going to pull the, and we've allowed the car to settle down to where it's lowered most of the oil back down in the oil pan. We're going to take the dipstick, the oil dipstick, we're going to pull it out, and we're going to clean it off. Once you've wiped it down good, put the dipstick back in to the hole, all the way in, pull it out, and check it. You should see oil in the line in between where it says safe. And since the car is warm, there will be a little less of it. As you can see, it's all the way up into that safe mark. So we are good. Oil's been checked. There are no leaks. Last thing we have to do is reset the oil life. Okay, I'm going to go over this a couple of different ways, and the reason why is because sometimes this works for me and sometimes it doesn't. The way that you were supposed to do the oil life reset on a 2014 or above Jeep Cherokee KL is done in one of two ways. Both of the ways start like this. You go over to the start button, you hit it once, you hit it twice. If in the event that you have a key, turn it to the run position. Do not push the brake. You are not trying to start the car. If you push the car or turn the key into the start position, it will start. We do not want the car to start. We just want it in the run position. With it in the run position, if you have the navigation menu, such as this, clear out all the stuff and get it into the home screen. As you can see, I've already reset it. But the reason why I'm going through both of the ways is because, as you can see right there, it says hold reset to clear, which means you can hold the OK button down and it'll reset. Sometimes on this car, for whatever reason, my car doesn't like to do that. The other way to do it is with it in the run position, you depress the gas pedal 3 times in 10 seconds. When you do that, the oil life will go from 0 to 100%. The red screen will turn white, and that will do it. The way that you're supposed to do it with these navigation systems, though, is to hold the OK to reset. But a lot of the times my car doesn't like it because either the driver's door open or the hood's open, so there's some condition not being met that's causing it to not like that system. The depressing the gas pedal will every time do it, even if the button on the steering wheel doesn't want to do the reset. So that gets you through everything that you needed to know on the oil change. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll keep making more videos. Thanks for your time.